Welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to show you how to set forms for a concrete public sidewalk that's in the Pacific Northwest area. Please stay tuned and continue watching until the end, because we're going to show you the entire process of how we prep the base. We had to remove loose soil and bring in gravel, compact everything, set the forms, and get it ready for the pour later today. If you want to learn how to do all kinds of handyman work projects, DIY projects, and home renovations, then you're in the best place here on YouTube, since that's all we do here. Consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and activate the notification bell, so that way you don't miss out on any future videos that we're going to be uploading. Here we have approximately 30 lineal feet of 5-foot wide public sidewalk area. We recently removed all the concrete. I have a separate video that you can tune into, and it shows you how we were able to remove all the concrete slabs and get everything exposed. After we did that, we uncovered the roots, and then we were able to grind all of that out of the way. So that's what I'm doing right here, is I'm removing a lot of the loose soil material and some of the wood chips and leaves, pine needles, all of the wood debris. I'm piling it on to the right side, basically just raking it up and trying to separate it as best as possible so it doesn't get mixed up with the soil. And all of the excess soil material, I'm gonna pile that in the parking strip right there to the left. And whenever we get done with pouring the concrete and completing everything, we're gonna go ahead and dispose of all this excess material. And that's pretty much the results after I removed everything. There's a couple spots right here in the middle that it's very loose. When we stepped on it, our foot would sink about 8 inches. So we're gonna have to remove all of that loose material. That's what we're doing right here. We're just excavating that by hand and piling it on the parking strip. And once we get into the firm surface, then at that point we can leave it like that. And we're just starting to excavate along the edge so we can make sure we have enough room for the forms. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put in these metal stakes really close to the existing concrete, and we're gonna tie a string line and run it from one end all the way to the other. Once we get to this other end, we're gonna put down a metal stake really close to the edge, and we're just gonna tie that string line around that metal stake. Make sure that it's nice and firm and tight. And this string line is going to help us for 2 reasons. The first one is it's going to give us a reference line and a guide so we can have the forms be nice and straight. And the second reason it's going to help us out is it's going to help us to keep the level the same as the existing sidewalk. In the city or the Washington County, since this is a public right-of-way sidewalk, they typically require us to have a maximum slope going towards the street of up to 2%. But we typically like to keep it at like 1.5% sloping towards the street. And this is why we're doing this string line. This is a huge help, and we're gonna get it as close as we can by utilizing those strings. And the nice thing is we have a dump trailer. We had some gravel there close by, so we're just shoveling that into the low spots, getting it as close as we can. And we're just going to use the rake to move everything around and get it as close as possible. At the very end, whenever we're done setting up the forms, we're gonna run a plate compactor on top of all of this, so we get a nice firm base before we get the concrete delivered later today. You'll want to stay tuned, and I'm gonna upload another video in the near future of how we poured all this concrete, so you can see the whole process from start to finish. Right here we're finishing up with the rest of the gravel. In some areas we're just lightly spreading it, and in others where we need more. So after you put your gravel as close as you can to wherever's needed, now we can start placing the wooden form boards. We have different lengths and measurements. They're all 2x4s, and we're just gonna place them there strategically in the best way possible. We like to use all the scraps as much as possible and just minimize the cuts. Some of these we are gonna have to cut them down to size, but we're gonna try to do it as least as we need it. And in certain areas, when we started placing the forms, we noticed that it was still a little high, so we had to excavate a little bit more. But we're pretty much starting over here on the left side. We're gonna place the first form that extends a little bit beyond the existing public sidewalk. And the way how we set these up is we put those wooden stakes up against the form, we hammer it down, and then once we have it like pretty decent and firm, then we just drive a nail through the stake and into the form board. And like I said, those string lines are super helpful because it helps us to keep it aligned with that. And right here we ran into a situation where there's an existing utility box and a regular form was not going to fit right along that, so we decided to just use a smaller size form and just lay it down horizontally, and thankfully the level is almost the same as the rest of the forms, so we're gonna just use that and leave it that way. But you see right there, he's adjusting it up or down, or just try to get it as straight as we can so we get the best layout and get it all ready. After we have it close enough, we're gonna use a level from one side to the other and just double check the slope. Right here we noticed that it was still a little bit high, so we had to remove a little bit more dirt, and then it started to rain as well, so we had to just put on our rain jackets or whatever so we can work around the weather. And today was an interesting day because there was like off and on raining and all that, but thankfully we were able to get everything completed. And the way how he hammers those stakes into the ground, or the stakes into the form board, is he has a larger size hammer that he puts along the next to the form, and then he hammers it in so that way it keeps it in line. And right here we're just starting to check the level, making sure that we have the 1.5% slope, so everything is pretty much good to go. We can go ahead and just finish to put in the stakes. And right here we're just excavating a little bit more beyond the concrete because the form we wanted to extend a little bit past that sidewalk so we get a nice clean edge in that area. And sometimes you can't really fit a regular size form board, so in that case we use bender boards. Those are about half the thickness and they're easily maneuverable, so you can use them for that purpose. So right there we're using a smaller size form and just putting one stake there, but everything's coming along pretty good. Now we were able to remove the metal stakes with the string line since most of the forms are already in place, and that's the results that you see right here. After we set up all the perimeter forms, we have a couple of stakes on each form Like you see, this little piece has 2 stakes. That one on top just goes right there in between. Then we have this longer form board that has 1, 2, 3 stakes. And then we have the other one at the end that has a couple on either end. And that's pretty much all you need. You don't need a ton of reinforcement. It's not a lot of pressure that this sidewalk's gonna have with the concrete. So if you have a long form, then 3 stakes should be more than enough to help keep it in place. And that little bender board, we're gonna put that in there whenever we start pouring the concrete. And then in the very end, all we gotta do is just compact everything. We hope you liked this video. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and activate the notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any future videos that we're going to be uploading in the near future, especially the one where we're going to be pouring this concrete public sidewalk. So stay tuned for that. May God bless you, and we'll see you on the next one.